A pregnant employee at a large company has her maternity leave denied by her arrogant boss, who claims the company needs her and that she can't take leave. But then this happens. Mary was a woman with a strong personality, whose life story was woven with dedication and effort. From a young age, she showed a natural inclination for organization and efficiency. She grew up in a humble home, where she learned that hard work and responsibility were essential to achieving her goals. With a solid academic background, Mary pursued a career in administration, where she excelled from the early years of her profession. She was known for her ability to solve complex problems, her quick decision-making skills, and the way she led her teams with respect and empathy. Over time, she earned a prominent position at a major bank, where her dedication did not go unnoticed. Her professional life was one of the pillars of her identity, and she took pride in every achievement, every goal met. David, on the other hand, was following an equally determined path. Since graduating, he found his niche in accounting. The precision of numbers and the complexity of reports drew him in, and he quickly became a coordinator at an accounting firm. David was respected by his colleagues for his firm yet fair leadership and for how he handled work challenges, always finding creative solutions to problems that arose. Despite both having demanding routines, they made time to cultivate moments together. It was during one of these occasions that their lives intersected. They met at a party among friends, one of those events you attend without high expectations, but that can change everything. The meeting happened casually, but the connection was instant. Mary and David found themselves in long conversations that night, discovering shared interests, similar values, and dreams that seemed to complement each other. From then on, they started seeing each other frequently, and their initial friendship quickly blossomed into something deeper. Their relationship evolved naturally, and soon they became inseparable. David admired Mary's dedication to her work and the way she faced each challenge. Mary found in David a safe harbor, someone who understood and supported her decisions, no matter how difficult they might be. Together, they built a solid relationship marked by respect and camaraderie. As their careers progressed, they also nurtured plans for a future together. The financial stability and professional success of both allowed them to dream bigger, planning trips, small renovations to their home, and, one day, perhaps, starting a family. The dream of having a family began to take shape in an unexpected but much desired way when Mary discovered she was pregnant. The news took them by surprise but was received with genuine joy by both. The discovery brought a wave of happiness that flooded the couple's lives, as if everything suddenly made even more sense. Mary and David found a new purpose, a new reason to plan and dream. The pregnancy brought them a sense of renewal, a feeling that they were ready for this new chapter, no matter how challenging it might be. The arrival of the baby became the center of their conversations and their expectations for the future. With enthusiasm, they began to envision every detail for the arrival of the new family member. They talked about what the nursery would look like, imagining the colors, the furniture, and the toys that would fill that special space in their home. They thought about the outings, the sleepless nights, and the laughter they would share watching their child grow. For both of them, the baby represented the realization of a dream that now felt within reach. As they made these plans, they felt their lives were even more intertwined, and that every challenge they had faced so far had prepared them for this moment. With plans to set up a nursery and build an even stronger life together, they celebrated this new phase with excitement. The months of pregnancy were progressing, and Mary, while excited about the arrival of the baby, also faced the need to organize her professional life for this moment. She knew that maternity leave would be essential for taking care of her child in the first few months, something she had planned carefully. One day, Mary finally scheduled a meeting with Charles, her boss, to formally request her leave. She walked into the office with a smile on her face, a mix of anxiety and anticipation for the future. Charles, sitting behind his large mahogany desk, barely looked up when she entered. "Good morning, Charles. I'd like to talk about my maternity leave," Mary said, trying to sound optimistic and positive. Charles slowly raised his head and crossed his arms, giving her a calculated look. "Maternity leave? Now, he asked, his tone dry, sending a chill down Mary's spine. Mary took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Yes, Charles. I'm in my 7th month, and I need to prepare for the arrival of the baby. I've already organized the team's activities and thought about a smooth transition so that my absence won't disrupt the processes. He leaned forward, and a look of displeasure crossed his face. Do you think this is the best time for that, Mary? We're in the middle of a crucial project for the bank. Honestly, I don't believe you're leaving right now is a viable option. Mary's surprise was immediate, but she tried to maintain a diplomatic tone. I understand that the timing is delicate, Charles, but maternity leave is a right guaranteed by law. I've prepared all the reports and provided the necessary guidance for the team. Also, there are options to cover my temporary absence. I know the team is ready to take on this responsibility. Charles shook his head impatiently. Mary, you know it's not that simple. The company needs you here, working, especially now that the goals are tight. I can't just authorize your absence for several months, not while we're going through this critical phase. Feeling her frustration grow, Mary tried to find a crack in Charles's stance. Charles, I'm talking about a basic right, something that is necessary for me and the baby. I need this time to take care of my health and ensure that the arrival goes smoothly. I'm willing to help with the transition and even stay in touch while I'm away if that's necessary. Charles's expression hardened further, and he slammed his hands on the desk, leaning toward her. You're not understanding, Mary. I'm not going to authorize this leave. The company has its needs, and we need everyone on the team at this moment. If you decide to leave now, the repercussions will be significant for everyone, especially for you. The tension in the room was palpable. Mary felt her heart race, and the air seemed heavier. She hadn't expected to encounter such resistance regarding something that was so clear and fair to her. Charles, this isn't just a personal choice. My health and my baby's health are at stake. I need this time, and frankly, I expected more understanding from you. Charles leaned back in his chair, letting out an impatient sigh. Mary, you've always been an exemplary employee, but you're letting your emotions take over now. Do you think I don't understand your situation? But what I see here is the company's greater need. We have deadlines, we have targets. Your leaving will put us in a bind, and I simply can't allow that to happen. Mary felt her eyes welling up with tears but kept her head held high. I didn't expect my dedication over the years to be ignored like this, Charles. I'm asking for what's my right and what I need to care for my child. This shouldn't be such a difficult decision. Charles just shook his head, as if her words held no weight. The decision is made, Mary. You stay and work, or you face the consequences of leaving the team in the lurch. The choice is yours. Mary tried to argue, explaining the need for the leave, but he remained unyielding, insisting she should continue working. That night, Mary came home feeling the weight of a dark cloud over her head. David immediately noticed something was wrong when he saw her sitting on the couch, staring off into space, her hand on her belly. He approached and sat down next to her, gently holding her hand. Mary, what happened? You look so down, David said, concern evident in his voice. Mary let out a deep sigh, trying to organize her thoughts. It's about the leave, David. I talked to Charles today, and he just won't allow it. He said the company needs me, that my leaving now would cause setbacks. It was as if he didn't even listen to what I said about the baby, about my health. David furrowed his brow, feeling indignation rising within him. But this is your right, Mary. He can't just ignore that. You explained everything to him, didn't you? Mary nodded, tears beginning to form in her eyes. I did, David. I talked about needing this time, about my health and our babies. But he was cold, unyielding, it seemed like nothing I said could change his mind. David squeezed Mary's hand tighter, trying to offer some comfort. This is unfair, Mary. You can't give in to this pressure, not now. Think about the baby, think about yourself. Maybe the best thing to do is leave this job. It's not worth sacrificing your health for this. Mary looked at David, a mix of fear and relief in her eyes. I thought about that, David. But it's so hard. I've worked there for years, and I've always been dedicated. I feel like I'd be giving up an important part of myself. David hugged her, gently stroking her back as she vented. I know. But I also know you're stronger than any job, and our priority right now is our baby. I'm with you, Mary, in whatever decision you make. But think it through. I don't want you to go through any more stress, not at this moment. Mary buried her face in David's chest, feeling the tears flow. After a few minutes, she lifted her head and, with a determined look, said, I'm going to quit. Tomorrow. I won't subject myself to this anymore. The next morning, Mary woke up resolved. She arrived at the office with steady steps, and with her resignation letter in hand, headed straight to Charles's office. He greeted her with his usual indifferent expression, but when Mary closed the door behind her, he looked up, intrigued. Charles, I need to talk to you again, Mary said, her serious tone making Charles tilt his head, curious. About the leave again, Mary? I already told you that. Mary raised her hand, interrupting him. No. Actually, I'm here to hand in my resignation. I've thought a lot about this, talked to David, and I've decided that I can't continue like this. I need to take care of myself and my baby. Charles looked visibly surprised, snatching the letter from Mary's hands with a swift motion. What do you mean, resignation? You can't just leave like this, Mary. You know how much the company depends on your work. Without you, we'll have a huge management problem. Mary looked him in the eye, firm, even though her heart was racing. Charles, I tried to be reasonable. But you didn't give me another choice. My health and my babies come first. I can't put myself in an environment where my well-being is ignored. Charles started flipping through the letter nervously, his fingers trembling. Mary, you're overreacting. Maybe I've been a bit inflexible, but we need to find a solution. You know how your leaving will affect the team, the ongoing projects. We can't do this without you. Mary crossed her arms, feeling for the first time a sense of control in this situation. I gave every chance for this to be handled amicably, Charles. But you refused to listen to me. And now, I've made my decision. Charles got up, desperate, pacing around the room as he tried to find a way to reverse the situation. Mary, think about it. I can authorize a shorter leave, maybe just a few weeks. Or how about we find a way for you to work part-time from home? But don't leave like this. The company can't afford to lose you. Mary watched him, maintaining her firm stance, even with her hands trembling slightly. This isn't a negotiation, Charles. I'm leaving because I need to think about my life and my baby. You denied me what is my right, and now I'm acting in defense of what is most important to me. Charles stopped, staring at her, his eyes almost pleading. Mary, please. I can reconsider this decision, we can find a way out. Think about the consequences, the stability you have here. Don't do this. She shook her head, resolute. Charles, that stability was never real if I can't count on my boss's understanding at a moment like this. I appreciate the opportunities I've had here, but it's time to move on. Charles sank back into his chair, defeated, holding the resignation letter with a look of disbelief. You don't know what you're doing, Mary. You're going to regret this. Mary gave him one last firm yet sad look. Maybe, Charles. But I know I'm doing what's right for me and my baby, and that's what matters now. She turned and walked out of the office, leaving Charles alone, still processing the unexpected turn of events. Mary knew that this decision would be painful, but she also felt it was the first step toward protecting her health and the well-being of her future child. That evening, after handing in her resignation, Mary sat down with David at the dinner table. The weight of recent events hung in the air. David, always attentive to his wife's emotions, noticed she still carried the tension from the decision she had made. "Mary, I know it was hard, but you made the right decision," David said, holding her hand across the table. "I'm so proud of you." Mary smiled, although there was still a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Thank you, David. I know I did what needed to be done, but it's tough. I dedicated years to that place. And now, I'm out of a job, even knowing it was necessary." David looked at her deeply, thinking of how he could help her feel better. Suddenly, an idea came to mind. "You know, Mary, I don't think you should leave it like this. Charles shouldn't have treated you that way. He violated your rights by denying your maternity leave. Have you considered suing the company?" Mary raised her eyebrows, surprised by the suggestion. "Suing? I never thought about going that far. Do you really think I should do that?" David nodded firmly. "Absolutely. He broke the law, Mary. You have the right to maternity leave, and he refused to honor that. It's not just for you but for all the women who go through similar situations. Plus, I know a lawyer, William, who can help you with this. He specializes in labor cases and is trustworthy. If you want, I can talk to him tomorrow." Mary thought for a moment and then smiled, feeling a new sense of hope rise within her. "David, I think you're right. I'm not going to let this go unaddressed. If you can set up a meeting with William, I'll talk to him." The next morning, David secured a meeting for Mary with William, who worked in a nearby office. Upon arriving at the office, Mary felt a mix of nerves and determination. William, a calm-spoken man with an attentive gaze, greeted her with a warm smile. "So, David told me a bit about what happened, Mary, but I want to hear all the details from you," William said, offering her a cup of coffee. Mary accepted the cup, thanking him, and began recounting everything from the beginning. "I requested maternity leave from Charles, my boss, but he simply refused. He said the company needed me and that my leaving would cause setbacks. I explained the situation, talked about my health and the baby, but he didn't want to hear it. I felt so disrespected, so trapped, that I decided to resign." William took some notes as he listened, his expression becoming more serious as Mary spoke. "Mary, what he did was a clear violation of your labor rights. Maternity leave is a right protected by law, and the company is obligated to comply, regardless of the circumstances. I'm confident we have a strong case here. We can start the process immediately." Mary took a deep breath, feeling relieved by William's confidence. "I don't want to harm anyone, William, but I also can't let them get away with this. I was dedicated to that company for so many years, and the moment I needed them most, they turned their backs on me." William smiled understandingly. "I understand, Mary, and don't worry. This process isn't about revenge, it's about ensuring your rights are respected. We'll take care of everything and make sure you get the justice you deserve." With renewed confidence, Mary left the office feeling like she had regained some control over her life. William, true to his word, initiated the process against the company that very day. The proceedings, to Mary and David's surprise, were quicker than they had imagined. Within a few months, the company decided to seek a settlement in light of the evidence and the negative publicity. Charles was fired, becoming a symbol of the toxic environment that had dominated the company. The compensation Mary received was substantial, covering not only the wages she would have earned during maternity leave but also compensation for the emotional distress she had suffered. On the day the case was closed, Mary and David sat on their porch, watching the baby peacefully sleeping in the crib beside them. David, with a satisfied smile, looked at Mary and said, "See, love. You did what was right, and now you can rest easy knowing you fought for yourself and for our baby." Mary stroked David's hand, feeling the peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Thank you, David, for supporting me every step of the way. This money will help us build an even better future for our baby. And now, I can stay home, taking care of him," enjoying every moment I wouldn't have had if I'd stayed in that job. With the settlement money, Mary and David made small investments that ensured even more security for their family. She devoted her time to their son, witnessing his first smiles, his first words, and every new discovery. The feeling of having fought for her rights and built an environment of love and protection for her family brought Mary a sense of satisfaction she would never forget. The future was still uncertain, as it is for everyone, but Mary knew that with David by her side and the courage to fight for what was right, they could face any challenge. The story that began with uncertainty and pain had transformed into a new chapter of hope, and now, sitting beside David and their son, Mary felt that she had finally found what she had always dreamed of, the security and happiness of a life built on love and justice. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give it a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.